In this video, we have two exponent challenge problems. So taking a look at the first one, the first thing that I notice about this problem is all the exponents, everywhere I look, all of these are negative, which means that I can flip them to the other part of the fraction. So truly I'm going to flip the entire fraction, and that gives me positive exponents to work with. It is not a required step that I do this, but for me, I find that it's a lot easier to work with the positive numbers. And so by moving them into the correct location, that gives me positive exponents everywhere. So you see from the top, I had x -5, y -9. Those moved to the bottom, and with the move, they got positive exponents. In the denominator, originally at x -8, y -15, those both moved to the numerator, both got positive exponents. Now, I am going to work with one variable at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work with the x's here, putting a box around them, working right here. It is division, and our rule says to do subtraction of the exponents. So 8 minus 5, I'll be subtracting top minus bottom, gives me x to the third. I understand this, that if I had written 8 x's on top, 5 on bottom, 5 would cancel. There would be 3 left. They would be on the top, and so that's how I got this with the shortcut of subtraction. Now I'll work with my y values, and they work exactly the same way. So it's division, so I do subtraction. 15 minus 9 is 6, and so I have y to the 6th power. And again, I fully understand that if I had written out 15 y's on the top, 9 on the bottom, and canceled as many as I could, I would have 6 left. They would be on the top. And so that's that positive exponent. So that's the entirety of the problem. And I have my answer, which is significantly simplified from the challenging looking problem that it is. Take a look at our second challenge problem. Again, just so much going on here. And so we want to think about where to start. And so if I think back to order of operations, we have PEMDAS, which we know that P is for parentheses, E is for exponents, and then we may multiply and divide, and finally add and subtract. So I do see parentheses here, and those parentheses are to show me that there is an exponent applied to that entire grouping. And so that is where I want to start. We have in our rules for exponents that with the scenario with an exponent inside and outside the parentheses, we multiply them. So I will get on the top here, x to the 8th power. The y has an unwritten 1 as its exponent, so when I multiply, I have y to the 4th power. I have not touched the remainder of the top, so I still have x to the -5, and still have a y to the 3rd. And then I'm going to do the same thing, dealing with the parentheses and the exponent there on the bottom. Based on the order of operations, that's what's telling me to deal with these parentheses and exponents first. So again, I multiply, so that gives me x to the 6th power and y to the 14th power. Now, there is really options in these. As long as we're following the rules, the order that we do things from here doesn't really matter, because what I see left in this problem is all multiply and divide. And multiply and divide are at the same level of the order of operations. So that's why I have so much flexibility. So for me personally, I'm looking at the top, and I see an x here to the 8th and an x here to the -5. They are multiplied together because they're both on the top of the fraction. When I multiply, I add, and so I add those exponents and have x to the 3rd. I'm going to do the same thing with the y. So on the top, I'm multiplying. That means I should add, and so that means I have y to the 7th. So that simplifies a bit. I didn't touch the denominator at all, so I'm just rewriting the denominator here. Now my problem looks very much like the first challenge one that I did. So I have x's to deal with, I have y's to deal with, I have division, which I know means I should subtract. So looking at my x's first, I always subtract top minus bottom, and so that gives me x to the -3. Then working with my y values, same thing, always subtract top minus bottom, and so that gives me y to the negative 7. Both of these are negative, so that means I'm not finished with the problem. I do have to give an answer with positive exponents, so I go one step further. I know that when they're negative, they need to move to the opposite part of the fraction, so I'm going to put 1 over x to the 3rd, y to the 7th. I put the 1 as a placeholder so that I have a numerator and denominator in that fraction. Originally, both of them were on top, and now they're on the bottom, and so by moving them to the bottom, I have the positive exponents that I want. So that's how I approach these two challenge problems. You're going to see some matched examples in your homework, and hopefully this video just helps you to walk through them step by step.